Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon and today I'm talking to you about the game Photosynthesis. That's photosynthesis for most people. And this is an environmental game, an abstract strategy game by Cold Spring, by the young and up-and-coming Italian designer Hajmar Haq, who, by the way, is responsible for other games such as Railroad Inc., amongst many others such as Dragon Castle, I think it's called, and numerous other games. So Sabrina Marimon is responsible for this art. I'll be showing you how to set up, play and review this game. And obviously, yeah, I'll give you an example of how it plays. So over here we have the sun. We are looking to grow our trees. We're looking to get the most points. As you can see, it takes a bit of space. I'll be setting this up just with one board here. So this sun represents where we're starting from, and this is the direction where the sun is initially pointing from. So inside your box here, you have various different trees. I happened to play as blue yesterday. I've played this game at various player counts back since it came out in the year 2017. I played it again 2018, and most recently I played it, like I said, yesterday as a 4. So as you can see, there's 4 different colours. You need to take all the respective colours out for your various colours of trees. And the aim of the game, like I said, is to get the most points. The way you get points is to take seedlings. You're trying to then grow those seeds into small saplings, into trees. And from those trees, you're then looking to grow them further and further and to get the biggest set of tree you can get. And from that point, you can then cultivate your tree, cutting it down and collecting victory points. The way it works, it's a bit of an engine building game whereby you are growing your trees, which give you more sunlight points. The more light points you have, the more you can spend on doing other actions. And from those other actions, you can decide to do more things. Depending on where you are on the forest, where you are growing your trees, you can actually accumulate more victory points as well. And I'll show you some examples of that right now. Okay, so all this can now go back away for the time being. And let me show you how you'll be setting up your board initially. So like I said, you can choose whichever color you like. There are, of course, different ones. So you have blue, but then you have other colors which are very similar to the board here. A nice autumnal orange and this sort of light yellow, obviously oak. Okay, so this is a 2 to 4 player game. You're now going to take your board and you're going to set them up respectively. So of course this is going to work a bit differently when you're looking at from above. But you're going to take your various trees of various heights, placing the largest one on the right hand side to see the cost. I think the shadow is going to work quite nicely actually for this video. The next ones are going to go over here, as you can see. And then you're ultimately going to have a few left over, which are going to go on the leftmost side. So whilst I'm setting this up, please of course hit the like button. Please of course subscribe. Please hit the notification bell for further videos. Of course, I do a complete how to set up, just like you would as well at home, because you of course need to see how to do it. I'm going to start adding some indications so you can do it separately. You're going to have small trees and one slightly larger tree, and you're going to have some of these like pine cones or whatever it might be for the respective color that you have. So they're going to go on your board as well. And then you have these things as well. I've talked about these. These are victory points. So wherever you're growing and cultivating your tree, you are going to be able to get different amount of victory points. So let's firstly have these set out. So you have obviously these smaller ones right at the edge of the forest. Of course, you don't want to be at the edge because thematically, obviously it's not as strong. If you go to the center, you're getting all those nutrients. You're really bossing the forest on where and what can occur, as you'll see in due course. So what we have over here, these represent the rounds. This is a 3-round game. And at the end of those 3 rounds, you're going to see who actually has won the game. That is for the first player token, which goes to the youngest person. And let's talk about these various locations. There are a few more than these. We have 20 of 21, they go up to 22. And then you're going to be placing them in descending order. So the first person is going to get the top one, etc. For the level 3, we're obviously going to have the top one again. So they go 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, etc. And then over here again, you're going to sort these out. So you have a 16, 14, 13, 17, and etc. So those are going to keep on going. Of course, please add your comments as well. I do reply in YouTube as well. And also, if you check out the description, you can follow the channel over on Instagram. And of course, follow there. There's over 2,200 photographs. And if you head over to Patreon, you can support the channel as well. So firstly, everybody is going to be placing out one of their trees. You must place it around the edge, and I'll just, for example, place it here, okay? Everyone else is going to place out their trees, so we'll grab something else to show you. Of course, it is going to be a tiny tree, but just for effect, I'm going to use a larger one, okay? And then I'm going to go again, let's say. This time I'm going to go over here. They're going to go again, assuming they've got small trees, but this is just for it. And then what we're going to then do is going to take your turn. So over here, I'm going to now move the board over slightly. I'm going to show you my board. These are the various effects I can do. Now there's something else you will need to dig out of the box as well, and that relates to your light marker. That goes on whichever position you're starting on at, which for everybody that starts at position 3. So everyone's going to have a certain amount of life, and that life is going to be used to determine how far you are going to be going in the game. From this point, you're then able to spend them. Like I said, you can spend them to get more seeds, or you can grow. So when we have this position, this in here, we're going to start going out and making a decision. So what we're going to be doing is deciding, right, what do I want to be purchasing? So right now I could choose to grow my tree. Well, I already have some trees out, as you can see over this side. So I could choose to actually grow my tree a bit higher. So I could spend the cost to go from a 1 to a 2. So I spend 2 cost, bring this guy and replace it over here. Okay, and then I've got obviously 1 left. I could choose to get a seed out. I could choose to throw a seed. Let's throw a seed. So I'm going to throw a seed over here. It's going to cost me 1, and it's going to cost me 1 to move it 1 distance. Okay, I can move it further with larger trees. So with a 1, it's going to go 1 position, as per this information here. With a larger tree, it can go 2 positions. It can go 1, 2. It can go 1, 2. Anything that's 2 away. It doesn't have to be in a straight line. And finally, have the largest tree over here. That can go anywhere again, and it can go 1, 2, 3. It can go 1, 2, 3, and go straight for the center. That's how that works. Now let's talk about light. So now everyone's taken their turn. So the first player marker is going to move around to the next player. Now the sun moves. So I'm going to move the board a little bit, and we're going to move the sun, and now the sun is shining in this direction. And let's talk about what happens. Well, everyone's going to start gathering their life points. So let's look at where my trees are. The light is coming along this direction, no longer here. It's coming from this direction. And currently it's not shaded. So I will be getting 2 light points because it's not being affected. I'll explain that in a moment. 1, 2. So I get 2 light points. That one is not blocked, so I get another point. And this one, for example, is not blocked, so I get 1 point as well. Now, the same would be occurring with this player over here. They happen to have, a larger tree, so they happen to get 2 light points here, and the largest tree will give them 3, so they'd have got 5. But of course, it's whoever is the left of blue is now going first. Now, if ever you have another tree, if you have another tree of either your color or somebody else's, and in this position, then it's blocked. If you happen to have a tree of the same height as the next one over there, it is also blocked. A lower tree will shade a tree 1 away. A medium-sized tree will shade something 2 away. And a large tree will shade something 3 away. So as an example, if I happen to have this here, that will not get any light from this position. This tree will not be able to obviously light up this one. And this large tree will be up to 3 away. So anything here, 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 even the same size tree, it will not be illuminated because it's 3 spaces away and it is the same height, as you can see. So what you want to be aware of is on your next turn, this is going to go again. So next time, the light's coming in this direction. So you want to make sure that, of course, you're not blocking stuff. And then, of course, the next turn, it's going to go again. Let's come back to these actions. So the various actions you can do is you can obviously grow a tree. So you can choose to chuck out a seed. It's now going to start costing you stuff once they've come off your initial setup. So you're going to spend 1 to move it 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to do. That's going to cost you 1. You cannot then turn this into a smaller tree on the same turn because obviously thematically that makes no sense. But I could choose to grow this one. It'll cost me 2. Actually, it already is this one. It's going to cost me 3. Let's say it's going to cost me 3. And I'll leave it out. But suddenly, I've got no cash. I've got nothing left to spend. I cannot then create it into a tree. So it might be worth holding back until I need to do that. Of course, these trees I can no longer build or grow until I've cut these down. So let's talk about cutting them down. So whenever I want to, I can now cut this down. Remember, if I cut it down, I'm losing the life points. So I'm going to choose to cut it down on my turn. So imagine I've gained some life points. So right now I'm going to gain, from this direction, I'm going to gain, yep, it's not affecting it, 1, 1, 2, so that's 3, that's 6, 1, 2, 3, that's not blocked, I get 7. So now let's say it's my turn, I can cut it down. I can cut it down for 4. So let's cut it down. You must be the highest level to cut it down. I cut it down for 4. Because it's in this zone, I get to take one of these tokens. So I take the top one, I do not show anyone, and I keep it visible face down, okay? Then you continue round. Once it goes around a complete cycle, then this 1 will be taken off. Then we do the 2, and then finally, that will be the final position it gets to. And then after that round, it finishes. After that, you'll then go to tot up how many points you have on each of your tokens, and you also see where your final position is here. Anything in this zone will get you an extra point. Any here, 2, down to 6, etc. finally, as a tiebreak, you have the amount of trees left on there is going to be the winner. So I'll talk to you about strategy in a moment. There is an advanced variant as well, whereby you cannot grow any trees if they happen to be in shade. Maybe you can't actually use any seedlings as well. So that's very interesting. But in terms of strategy, it's very interesting to be aware that, of course, you want to be banking on where the trees are coming from. Yesterday, somebody happened to be dominating over here. Various other people happened to grow a very large tree early on and then plant something over here and just try and grow that up to try and gain these points. But there's a diminishing return because as soon as all of these values have gone, then you're having to move on to other zones. There's only 3 in here, so if anybody else is growing over here, is actually going to have to take these cheaper value tokens and then eventually these ones. So there's something to be aware of. Lots more strategy to consider. It's a bit of a thinky game. It's a very thinky game, and there's a bit of downtime, especially as a 4-player count, waiting for everyone else to take their turn. It's meant to be about a 45 to 60 minute game. Some people say 30. I think it's more like 2 hours, especially as a 4, even when everyone else has already played the game before. Because you're thinking, well, I want to do that, and I want to do that, but if I then place, I then grow a tree here, and then they've already got a small tree, and they now get a larger tree, then I'm shaded for maybe at least 1 turn. So there is going to be times where it's blocking. It's a bit of a blocking game, and it's about trying to get a little bit of an engine going, but being aware that you may not get too many points and too many amount of energies on your turn. Aside from that, it is interesting. My rating used to be a 7 out of 10. It's now dropped slightly to 6.9. But it's interesting to see, obviously, how you can maximize your stuff. You can definitely have some poor rounds. Even 5 might sound quite a bit, but I was often getting only about 5 light points per round of those 18. And then in 1 or 2 rounds, I managed to get 13. So that's where you can get some bigger stuff kicking in. I haven't actually able to win, going for that larger turn towards the end, but it really depends on what happens, because as soon as you've cut down this tree, well, that's 3 victory points or 3 light points that I'm not gaining, which I could be using to do something else. So that's an overview for the game Photosynthesis. I hope you found it of interest. Bit of a quick run through of all of that, but hopefully that is something that gives you an idea of actually you have light, you have shade, and where, as you can see, that is going to get blocked in this direction. So let's move on again. As you see, it's fine, but you could be blocking yourself. That's blocking all of that. The downside, of course, if I happen to if I happen to get grow a tree over here, it's going to take some time, and they're aware of that. Then, of course, that is also going to be a factor because the light is coming this direction. Having said that, this guy might want to just chop down their tree, or maybe they wait 1 turn, and by that point, they may, of course, be able to get some more light points back again. It's a very interesting concept. Quite crunchy and a lot of moving parts, and you can't think too much ahead of your turn. But I hope you found the interest. That has been Photosynthesis.